Alright lads, so today we are over back onto the Limit Breaker game mode. By the time you lads are watching this video, the game mode itself is gone for the time being. But I did want to demonstrate this run that I was able to get my new personal best score. You can see from the title, you can see from the thumbnail, we was able to get to stage 35, which is quite crazy to think about, especially considering that the last time this game mode was here, I was only able to get to stage 24. In fact, I believe the highest stage that you could get last time around was like 31 or 32. This time it's a lot easier since we have access to characters like Aaroniero, but they also made changes to slot number 3, which is the flexible slot where you can bring any character you want regardless of the killer or attribute combination. And that's why we're able to bring someone like Macy that overall ties this team together to make it better, since every time we move to another map, it's reducing our strong attack cooldown. And it's with that in mind, this is how we built the team. So first up, we now have Aaroniero. We used her last time. This time though, she is max transcended, although to be honest, it barely made that much of a difference because she already does so much damage to begin with. One thing we are doing differently this time around though is using strong attack damage and also full stamina damage links. Last time we went with a recharge hybrids. This time we're going full damage mode, making sure she can do a lot of damage on her strong attacks, because realistically in most maps we only need to use 2 or 3. And it's weird that we're going to be able to go through her stages very quickly, and we can afford to go with this full stam, lack of recharge build, thanks to Macy being on our team. Because even with the lack of recharge, by the time we next use Aaroniero, almost all our strong attacks are back already, which is absolutely insane. When it comes to Aaroniero, we just gone with the same builds, and in his case, we're going with recharge, full stamina, and also strong attack damage soul traits, also max transcended, and then our third character, that being the power soul version of Macy, she's mainly here to get us the in-between recharge every time we move to another map, but she herself is also, again, a very solid character, and considering the changes they made to slot number 3, she herself can actually clear these stages quite fast, especially when you have a max transcended. Now, one thing we changed in this particular build is that we've actually given her a tension tie, and that's going to allow her to nuke more so in, I believe, stage 27, which for the most part is one of our slower runs. Allowing her to soul in that entire stage makes it so we can clear faster, and overall we can push to that stage 35, potentially, if you're lucky enough, 36. But with that, that's basically the team breakdown. Now let's jump into the run. Alright then, so starting off the run with Aaroniero, we're going to use our SA2. Usually I would use my SA3 there, but number 2 is just better because it also can clear this stage. For stage number 2, you can get away with using 1 strong attack or to use SA3, but it really depends on where you are going to stand, so I just usually chose just to use SA1 into the SA2. Back with Aaroniero, this time though, super easy lineup. You can stand right there and use the SA3. That is going to clear the entire stage. With Macy, and we are trying to go through super fast, right? SA2, SA3 is enough here. This stage, I would end up using 3 strong attacks. Now, I actually did realize later on that I could probably get away with using 2 strong attacks in that stage if I position myself properly, but that was just the lineup that I did do for that particular map, right? This stage in particular, stage 8, or any time this map comes back up, is probably the more annoying stage because those enemies are quite annoying to deal with, especially when they do have poise. And it actually, one thing I will say, it made Aaroniero seem like the worst character of the 3, which to be fair, he probably is. But Aaroniero is a really good character, but considering the fact that Aaroniero is just really good in this particular mode, and also considering the fact that slot number 3, the Macy stages, are easier than normal, it made Aaroniero stages look harder than they're actually supposed to be. If that kind of makes sense. I'm not sure if anyone kind of got the same vibe. It made me feel like Aaroniero was a bad character when compared to the other 2, but he was also going through his stages quite easy. Now, at this point in time, we're currently on to stage number 14. We've already gone through most of the maps. We're now repeating it, but that obviously the enemies are getting stronger themselves. One big thing I noticed, at least with my particular runs, with the last one where we used Macy, is that she was actually clearing up most of the stages with 1 to 2 strong attacks, which was nice to see. I made a few mistakes that getting hit. Shouldn't matter though, because Aaroniero is going to heal us by the time we next use her. That's one good thing about this team too with Aarionero's team heals, is that if we do make a mistake, more so near the end of a stage, we can afford to take that damage because next time we are going to be back up at full stamina. On to the next stage. This will be the stage that we are going to nuke, but it's the next time it does come around. The big thing here with Macy is we want to ideally inflict stat ailments. Our stat ailments are paralysis and also weakening, so the hope bit is when we do use our SA2, they get weakened and paralyzed, because then it means I have to spend less time flash stepping around the map, and it then means I do 50% more damage. So I use my SA2 into the SA3 with the hopes that we could actually inflict weakening. Unfortunately, that one last enemy was kind of being annoying, but luckily we were able just to get the status element proc right at the end. This I believe is now lap number 3. So we're just doing the same layout, SA1 into the SA3. Thus far, thus good. This one, since we did have the SP boost, 2 strong attacks was enough to clear up here. Still nice to see that Macy is able to one-shot most stages, most enemies, even though we are currently now onto stage 23. Once more, this map still is one-shottable with just 1 strong attack. Now, this stage, stage 24, usually is the stage that would slow me down just a tad bit, but I luckily was able to kill all the mobs with just the 3rd strong attack, which is really smooth to do. Once more, doing the same strategy, SA2 into the 1. Kind of did it different there. Probably should have used my 1st strong attack first, because you can see there the enemies are still alive. But considering that we did do a lot of damage to begin with, and they were on the weakening puddles, 1 SA3 was enough to take them down. This was quite a slower stage, but once more, Aaroniero with the constant weakening and also drain with the gauge effect, we were able to do a lot of damage. And now we're going into stage 27. Again, this right here is the stage where we are going to nuke. So at this point, I do decide to nuke. There we go. And the SA3 with the weakened defense and the weakening, it was able to let us play that stage super fast. And that's what we wanted to do, right? Made a mistake there, not being able to kill the entire wave with just 1 strong attack too. That's fine. Again, I'm kind of making a few mistakes here. Keep in mind, this map in particular wasn't the perfect run, but it was still good enough to get us to stage 35. In a perfect scenario, if you get all your strong attacks perfectly, and they're doing a lot of damage, and you're lining up the enemies perfectly too, you might be able to push to stage 36 and also stage 37. Even with the mistakes, we are able to get to stage 35. In this case, after using Macy's SA3, some enemies were still alive, which was kind of annoying, because in that most of our runs here were almost smooth as butter. The extra couple of seconds is perfectly fine. SA3 goes off there. We're using our Natstring because that can also do a respectable amount of damage, right? I think at one point, our Natstring was doing 140k damage, which is absolutely crazy to think about. Now, all we have to do is clear this particular stage in just 16 seconds. If we do that, we get the stage 35 goal, which is what we were going for. Lucky for us, though, the gauge effect did go off. We're doing most of our damage, but we are pushing the clock here, right? And we're just barely able to get into that next stage. Stage 36 with, what, 3 seconds to spare? And that right there was the goal we were going for. Stage 35. Again, with this particular team, you can push to stage 36. You can even push to stage 37 if you get the perfect lineups. My run, you know, we made a few mistakes, let's be honest. But even with those few mistakes, with the team that we were using, we were still able to push into stage 35. And it's all thanks to the team that we were using and the synergy this team did have, right? The constant heals, the strong attack damage buff from Aaroniero, the recharge in between each stage from Macy, and then Yatsu just being the insane character she is, one-shotting most stages. With Yatsu in particular, we barely stayed in a stage longer than like 15 seconds, which is crazy to think about. And the biggest reason why we were able to get a better stage clearance this time when compared to our first initial run with this team was more so Macy having the tension tie. Being able to go through, I believe, stage 27 super fast was the biggest thing here. Because that gave us that extra potentially 40 seconds to go through some of the easier stages, like stage 31 all the way to stage 34. So there you have it, lads. That was basically my runs through this season of Limit Breaker Quest Season 2. My personal best, thanks to the team that I did use, we were able to get to stage 35, which I think is actually quite impressive. Is it the world record? No, I'm not really going for that. And again, I maybe could have pushed to stage 36, but I like the number 35. It looks cool. Would have been nice, though, if last time I could have got to stage 25, but again, I didn't have Quincy Ichigo, so I wasn't able to do that. Either way, though, since Limit Breaker is now gone, in the comments below, let me know how far you lads got. I'm kind of curious to know, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, and peace.